What's up, family? IOBA. My name is TC. Welcome, welcome to the Awareness Channel. You know, I left work early today. I get on here and get my information out in the form of a little story. But anyway, I left work early today. I got pissed off. I got discouraged. You know, because I'm 66 years old and I've been working since I was like 12 or 14 years old. That's a long fucking time. And I don't have to really work like that no more. But my mind has been so conditioned to go out of my house and go to a place and sell my time until I almost don't know what else to do. I still feel a little bit of guilt when I leave this job, and we don't even really do all that much. Not compared to the jobs I had in the past, we don't even really do all that much. I work for a school district down here in Ron DeSantis, Florida. And everything down here with the school district is pretty much a racket, just like everything else. It's like the public school system, they trying to turn that into holding pens for future worker bees or whatever. I don't understand what the whole. I worked at two different high schools here in Jacksonville. They are about a mile apart. Jacksonville's a very big city, about 1 million people. Now they're on this. We got to close some schools due to, you know, declining enrollment. Well, the declining enrollment, everybody going to the charter schools and the private schools. What's happening is school is becoming more and more down here in Florida a for-profit industry. And the public school system, that's just a holding pen. The public school system is turning into a holding pen for future prisoners and low-income workers and shit. If you want your child to get a halfway decent education, then you got to you got to pay for it. And you got to pay a lot of money for it. Because the charter schools, they ain't much different than the public schools. Matter of fact, in many cases, they worse than the public schools. The charter schools, in many cases, are worse than the public schools when it comes to actually educating your child. I worked at a charter school up in Syracuse. Turns out turned out to be hooked into this Turkish millionaire network of charter schools. I was the security guard up there. And I had access to all of this, to every room in the building. And while doing inventory, I happened to notice that all of the shipments were from companies in Turkey. So I did a little digging. Turns out, yeah, it was a racket. Without going into too much detail, it was a fucking racket. One time I went to the website and I was able to dig down through and I pulled up the salaries of everybody working in the school. And this was in 2010. I was able to pull up the salary of everybody in the school. The goddamn basketball coach was making 100K a year. He was making almost as much as the assistant principal, the assistant director, because they didn't have a principal. They had a director, an assistant director, and he called himself the athletic director. They did have a good basketball team, though. I grant them that. But everything else was a racket. Getting in there was a racket. The students hated it. They used to talk to me because not only was I a security guard um, in there, I was an in school suspension teacher. And you get to know some of the kids, and they'll get honest with you, and they'll tell you that they're not really learning much. Teachers don't stick around. It's low pay. A lot of them weren't certified. It was a bunch of shit going on in there. So the charter schools, they suck too. So if you want your child to get a good education in the state of Florida anyway, or increasingly all across this country, then you're going to have to pay for it. It ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. I'm not a big fan of homeschooling either. I'm really not. I'm not a big fan of homeschooling because I worked with the general public for too many years. And I know most people ain't qualified to be teaching anybody anything. Oh my God. Some people are just not built to be teachers. I'm going to leave it at that. Some people just not cut out to be teachers. Some people don't need to be trying to homeschool their children unless they got tutors coming in, qualified ones that can really challenge those children. I'll put it that way. And mom and pop usually got work anyway. So homeschooling ain't as prevalent as people say it is anyway. So, but them charter schools and them private schools, oh my goodness, the tuition in some of them private schools was through the roof. And then they just consolidating and packing in the public schools. They want to close one of the high schools that's near me and consolidate that into the one I'm working at now, or something like that. I went into the art class because I painted the mural on the wall at the high school I work at. So I went into the art class to get some paint. Had one little art teacher in there, looked like she fresh out of college, looked like I don't even think she's 30. And I swear it had to be 50 kids in there. One art teacher, 50 kids, wasn't no art being done. You couldn't do no art in there. Wasn't no, it was a mess. She just pointed me to a little closet, and I went in there, and all of the paint, it was all dried out. She hadn't ordered any supply. It was oh my God, it just made me wanna leave, made me wanna quit. Because when I was in high school, I was I was an artist in high school like I am now. In our art department, we had art one and two, we had art three, and then we had ceramics, we had performing arts, we had dance, we had about three bands, two or three choirs, auto mechanics, electronics, computer programming, all in the 19 fucking 70s. We had all that in high school. Building construction, carpentry, all that. Industrial arts, home economics, consumer education, all that shit right in high school. Budget cuts, motherfuckers trying to, I don't, politics, a whole litany of things caused them to take all the money. Tax cuts, people not wanting their taxes raised, profit and greed, all these things lead to the demise of the public school system. And don't look like nobody gonna do nothing about it. It look like it's only gonna get worse. Don't nobody want to put no money into the public school system. But we got plenty of money to spend on wars. Plenty of money to put into the prison industrial complex. They love to brag about we building 5 new prisons. They love doing that. And that's been turned, the prison industrial complex and the public school system are closely connected to one another. Shit. I bet you this, the same company that supplied the lunches for the public school system probably supplied the lunches for the closest prison or jail as well. Because the shit look awful similar. I'm just saying. And I'm digressing from that. But yeah, public school, charter school are both two different rackets. And they ain't gonna get no better. Actually, they'll get worse before they get better. The only way this shit gonna change is a big paradigm shift. You dig me? And that's gonna come from the young people. People can say what they want about us old heads, but back in the '70s, we was doing better than y'all doing now. Back in the '70s, we was doing better than y'all doing now. The whole thing's the whole thing went to hell when I think with Ronald Reagan got in office and started cutting budgets and closing high schools and cutting taxes on rich people and you know giving away everything to the supply side economics and motherfuckers start shipping jobs overseas to get cheap labor. All of that shit contributed to it. So it's all symptoms of a much bigger illness, you see. But who gonna pay for it? Well, black people first, because we always take the brunt of everything. That's why we so fucking strong. That's why people hate us, because we able to survive a lot of shit that put a lot of other people under. Black people, we used to doing without, and we used to hardship. You know, but we suffered too. We suffered too. You know. So yeah, man. 40, 50 kids in an art class. I don't think they got a choir in that school. They got a little band, but it's got like, I don't know, a handful of members in it. And everything else is, they got a little private dance group here. Somebody from the outside came in and did it. And they got their cheerleaders, basketball and football, and, a few other small sports here and there, but nothing really to speak of. Not on the level that we had it. It's a shame the way things have just been so pared down and slimmed down, and it all comes down to money, and the school district talking about quote unquote saving another $77 million. That means they're gonna cut some more services and goods and pack some more kids into classrooms and stress some more people out. Cause you ain't gonna be paying the teachers. You could get the teachers raises. You could hire some more staff. You could fine tune the schools that you think are you ain't got to close them, but you can shrink them a little bit or something. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about because listen, I'm retired and I'm looking behind me seeing what a mess the people coming up behind me have gotten themselves into as far as education, public education goes. Because the kids, not all of them, are the ones who have to pay in the long run when they have to go play catch up and try to learn the shit that y'all was supposed to teach them and was too afraid to spend the money in order to teach them. It's crazy. Shit is sick. But I guess the solution is really political. What you got to do is you got to play the game with them. You got to get on the goddamn school board. You got to be vocal. You got to be unified in your mission and all that shit. But you gotta be active. If you want shit to change, if you want the politicians and the people who hold the money and make the decisions to do what you want them to do, then you gotta make them do what the fuck you want them to do. Or you gotta throw them out of office and get somebody in there who will do what you want them to do. Because to me, that's the only shit that works. You know? That's the only thing that works. And that's the only thing that school districts and local politicians understand is direct action. You know? And that comes from the ballot box. Start throwing people out of office, off the school board, out the governor's mansion, that type of shit. So what I'm saying is, in local elections, your vote really does matter. You probably should participate in the process, especially if you still got, young kids that are still in school, young kids that are still being educated by these assholes. Then yeah, you should you should take part in the political process so that you can bring about change in your community. You really should, because that's what the fuck I did when I was coming through. All through my 30s and all through my 40s, I was out there on the street with the kids doing my thing. I had a good time too. And shout out to everybody that's doing that now, running dance groups and drill teams and basketball teams and coaching and cheerleading and doing dance groups and anything. That take a lot of goddamn dedication that most people don't have. And you can't expect no money for it because sometimes you don't get paid. You just got to be doing it because you want to see a better society and you want to look back at your legacy and say you actually did some good and you wasn't just talking about it. Talking about how fucked up everything is and you weren't making no contribution to make shit better. You dig me? Anyway, y'all, my dog down here dreaming. Anyway, that's it for now. Keep your head up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button. I'm on my way to 1,000 subscribers who are willing to sit here and calmly listen to an explanation of the way things are. I'm going to give it to you true. I'm going to give it to you straight. TC, and I'm out. Peace.